Or do they want to go back to the picks we pointed out earlier, like Grok as Gatot?
Is that Grok will be the first ultimate priority for the side of Turkey. Iran, on the other note, if they can actually already read up the idea that is being portrayed by Turkey, they can actually just snatch up the Fredrin for themselves as well to deny even more entrance or even opportunity for Turkey itself. But at the same time, again, we talked about how mid laner also has been prioritized. Lunox has been a little bit popular right here for our Mlbb women category.
Yeah, Lunox was fairly popular on both these teams actually, so it might be worth grabbing early, but Timmy is still a very, very annoying level 1 mid laner that you might have to worry about since there is already a Grok being paired up on the side of Turkey as well. Looks like it's going to be the Yisun Shin, but also the Angela. This was a specialty of Iran even on day 1.
Yeah, and the fact that they were able to actually win against South Africa as well with the combo of Yisun Shin with Angela shows how much of the confidence they have in this combination. The question is, team of Iran, they had a lot of sustained heroes, which is Grok to actually hold out the front line with Alice on the side. So the question is, can Iran find a way to make sure that this strategy can be repeated against Turkey? On the side of Turkey, they picked up Harith immediately with Eve.
All right, very solid conclusion here from Team Turkey. We've already seen them play with the Grok Eve combination. Very strong team fighting, and this is a squad that likes to go for those 5v5s. And then you lock in the Harith as well, because then you can start focusing down the gold laners, and you can force Iran into a situation where they either go for the Granger right now, or they'll have to flex into it later. But Iran does have the Sun Shin, so the double fighter side lane is a possibility. The only thing that they need to be worried about is going to be that mid lane prio, because you will have an Angela versus Eve matchup, and that's heavily favoring Eve.
We are seeing that Iran is prioritizing on Gatot Kaca yet again. Pretty much Gatot Kaca is, I think, the pick-wise rate right now between every heroes that we have. Gatot Kaca will be the top priorities inside our Mlbb women category. And we know for a fact that Gatot Kaca with the AOD might be able to actually just punch into the line of the bag for the side of Eve itself. But the question is, looking on the side of Turkey, right, we do see a lot of the control are much more on their side. Now, going into the ban phase right now, as Lapu Lapu been taken out by Iran, Turkey can just shut down even more further of the mid laner if they think that there's a possibility that Iran wants to take another gold lane. But I don't think that's really,
so.
yeah, right?
And they already have Angela and Gatot. You don't really have a slot for a different mid laner unless you want to put Lunox in the gold lane, which is possible, but not the most ideal. Though it's also actually not too bad since the Esme has already been taken out, and you might want something that can handle the Harith. The Ruby does get banned out, so Turkey is already looking at the double fighter side lane combo, and you want to get rid of the sustained heroes that work particularly well with Angela. So this is going to be Ruby, Yuzong, Alice.
That could be one of the top priority-wise to ban off and take out from the pool itself from Turkey. On the side of Team Iran, they can actually just drag off a little bit more for the side lanes heroes. What are the particular heroes that you're looking for right now, Stafa?
I'm actually surprised that Iran banned the Lapu Lapu themselves. I feel like they could have gone for it perfectly fine, but they'll also get rid of the Fredrin. So now, basically all of the meta junglers have been taken out of the pool, and Turkey is going to need to make a decision as to how they want to approach the rest of it. Akai is still open, so I think that's probably going to be the fallback, since I'm currently not a big fan of the Joy. I think Turkey should continue banning out Angela combos. It's just whether they're more afraid of Alice or Yuzong.
Is it really viable to actually have Joy there? As you talked about how you're not really in the favor of Joy to be picked out right here.
A lot of teams still pick Joy, but I don't really like it very much personally.
Why?
I just think she's not that strong anymore.
Ah, I see. Even with the mobility-wise, you feel like it's just not enough to pull through
like her burst
the team
damage
fight.
is insufficient and takes too long to scale.
I see. But then you talked about how Turkey can definitely just drag out either Yuzong or even Alice, so they prioritize on Alice to be taken out from the pool. Now, Iran, you still need a lot of your side lane to be given out more. So what are the teams that what are the heroes that you feel like might probably be popping off right now?
If Ruby was not banned, Ruby 100% gets picked here because you want to keep things as flexible as possible. You could go Yuzong just to make sure it doesn't get stolen, but then you can get counteracted on the opposite side. So that is not the most ideal. That's why I thought they should have kept Lapu Lapu for themselves. Would have been one of the safer EXP laners. They'll go into the Phoveus, which I guess is fine since the Esme is already taken out. But we saw Phoveus get wrecked pretty hard earlier today with the glue. So I'm eyeing that for Turkey.
And the fact that I feel like there is also a possibility of Arlet popping up. Do you think that Arlet is actually a good choice as well to be picking up right here for Turkey?
Arlet for Turkey is actually not bad at all.
Right?
It doesn't have the best laning phase into Phoveus, but you can actually outplay the matchup with skill, and works particularly well with the Eve, with the final slash into the RWM combo. So that's actually not bad at all. Blue or Arlet would both be very solid for EXP lane. For jungle, it could be a Kai if they still want to go tank, but they actually lock in the Suyo.
They lock in the Suyo. I mean, pretty much we talked about how a lot of the tank junglers have already been picked off already, and we thought that they were going to go into that kind of path. Probably Akai was already open, but ended up they picking up Suyo into their hands now. Last option coming up from Iran itself. Again, I feel like pretty much on the side of Iran, they are going to actually focus more on how Yi Sun-shin is going to actually portray more for the defense. Oh, no, sorry, for the damage-wise. But is it going to be enough, though? They need one more hero to have that kind of countability, but it's going to be Benedetta to be picked up right there.
Benedetta Gold? Is that what we're looking at here? Now, this is very interesting. This is not something I've actually seen at all, even with all the experimentation that teams are doing. Certainly a fighter hero that could work well with the Angela. Can be built in very flexible ways, though I do think you want to ideally get at least bruiser type because you do need damage right now on the side of Team Iran. Very interesting final pick coming in here, and not too bad all things considered, but it is a high execution ceiling.
I feel like on the side of Draft Rise, it feels like when it covered up to the side of Team Turkey, they kind of actually control all the angles. They'll be able to actually have that momentum fighting off with Team Iran. On the side of Team Iran, though, they need to slow down a little bit of the pace of Turkey. If they can do that, they might be able to actually counterattack all of the initiation that will be done.
This is a double fighter side lane comp coming in from Team Iran, so normally they would need to be the ones creating the tempo, creating the momentum.
Yeah.
The issue is they have an Angela mid, and that means that your mid lane priority is going to fall behind compared to that of an Eve, especially paired with the Grok as well. So they want to get the tempo, but it's going to be difficult to do so unless they get a little bit more assistance in the mid lane from their jungler.
Right, that's just us analyzing, but this is all up to these two teams. Yet again, we are here for the WEC 2025. Let's take a look for the lower bracket between Turkey versus Iran.
All right, let's get things started. Having a look already at the emblem setup, this is indeed a gold lane Benedetta going lethal ignition, so I wouldn't be surprised if Kana goes for a full damage build. Does have that petrify as well.
Thoughts coming through from the side of Sherry to Nora, but they're definitely going to actually just zone out a little bit for the mid lane. Great move comes through, but Neil on the other node, a lot of damage soaking up to the side of Uno Hana. Not a best decision making coming in, but I think that Neil will be fine on her own. Not to worry whatsoever, just to zone out things. And even Kana having herself just a little bit into deep.
Yeah, this Benedetta is not the best fighter for handling a Harif, unfortunately. So that means that Team Iran is actually losing lane prio on both of the side lanes and the mid lane as well. So it's going to be very difficult for them to actually make any movements happen on the map, and their scaling is not the best.
But coming up for the Mountain Shaka, missed it out, but then again they come through for Sherry's side. Still not enough though. Now they're pushing in with Pujo, joining along with the team fight. Neutralize just a little bit for now.
All right, good movements there. The Revitalize being able to keep Sherry alive. Otherwise, that would have been a very punishing dive coming in from Iran.
Coming out right now, still Red Dead Rapid comes through. Lizika just trying to zone out, trying to make sure that all the creeps will not be stolen, but unfortunately it's just all lost for the side of Iran.
That's a good transition too. They specifically target the EXP lane to set up for the turtle, and they're able to get the bonus of poking out Sherry. This should be a free first objective for Team Turkey, but we are starting to see Kana exert a bit more pressure over this Harif.
Hana is trying to pull through. Neil is not having a good time right at the top, especially the fact that even at the moment they're trying to go in, RWM put out. At the same time, Lishika trying to survive all alone. Hardguards pulls out to the Sherry side, but at the same time, what cost? Because at the end, they were able to take down. Now come through to the fight with Nora right now, surviving it all out. It drags it off, but Kana gets the first blood right here to Kujo. And moving along, the deal will shut down Nora for the side of 2 kills in the hands of Iran.
Here we can already see the value of the Benedetta in the side lane, being able to rotate and join fights a lot more easily compared to other heroes. I like the invade. They actually did manage to steal the purple buff away from Sherry, but hold on.
Whoa! Sherry with the last hit takes down Zendaya. One more. Uno Hana just try to survive it out, but unfortunately, it's going to be a good win for Iran.
I have to say, this is probably one of the most effective uses of Angela that we've seen the entire tournament so far, being able to save people on a tiny sliver of HP and actually enabling earlier rotations. We said on paper that Nirvana might have difficulty getting lane prio against Zendaya because of the hero matchup. But looks like they've been able to handle that thanks to Sherry's intervention. They're being very active on the map right now, and that's exactly what Team Iran needs to be doing.
A lot of invasive move coming on from Turkey, and now it comes back to bite them because of how Iran was able to back it up to their side. And this is where overextension will be punished, and Turkey needs to be a little bit disciplined more. Yes, they did do a lot of pressure just now, but Iran finally falls through and had momentum. But at the same time, Kana is not doing well at their own lane, but not to worry, Nirvana is just on the lookout. But at the same time, right here, goes in for the tectonic charge with the urgent rapid, just holding up. Neil surviving it all with the hard guard been put out. Neil has no worry, but RWM has already been put out. Neil will not be able to survive it all. Unona takes her down immediately. Lishika tried to go all out with the AOG, but it will not do anything as 1 kill is enough for Turkey to get it.
It sure did take quite a while, though, that hard guard keeping Neil topped up, but once again, Turkey aiming for the turtle timing.
And comes in along with the air turn rampage. Kana trying to go all out to Nora, but at the same time, zoning comes through with Kujo as well. Lishika will be able to take down Nora immediately. Now pushing on right now. Sherry having a little bit fun right here with Zendaya shutting her down, but at the same time, it's already a good trade coming along by Iran with Turkey.
Unohana finding the right target there, specifically the enemy jungle. Unfortunately, Kujo did take quite a bit of poke previously, so not able to muscle their way through the turtle since the rest of the frontliners from Iran are still alive. They're going to continue zoning them out. By the time they restart the turtle, Sherry will actually be able to rejoin the fray. Does Iran actually still want to contest this or not?
See, a lot of zoning coming in from Nora's side. Be sure that they don't come through. Kujo will be able to get the turtle because of such a control comes in from Turkey. Iran, on the other note, losing Sherry kind of put them a little bit step back, but it's okay. They might be able to breathe just a little bit. Unohana, a lot of pressure to Neil yet again. A lot of focus comes into EXP.
Now, I think we have to highlight a little bit about the win conditions here, especially for Team Iran. They are playing double fight their side lane with an Angela mid. This means that a lot of their power spike is in the mid game. The ideal is to get ahead by the 10-minute mark.
No one be caught up by the AOG, but Mount Sure comes through right here. Nora had to pull away with the tectonic charge just to survive it out. But we can actually see that the whole entire fallbacks had to be pulled away for neutralization.
I kind of feel like Nora could have actually committed for that, used the tectonic charge aggressively instead, because the rest of her team was quite nearby.
But RWM been put out right here. Lishika trying to go all those out, but Zaman Force comes through right here. Lishika tries to survive it out, but can he do it with the hard guard comes through? Lishika still have managed to survive, but will be taken out by Mirko. Now moving along, go for the infinite pursuit. Never know will be taken out by Zendaya. Now moving along, trying to pull it out. Turkey just doing so much damage until Iran could not do anything. Left it off with the tectonic charge. Kana comes through with the Mieko shutting down. Now 1, 2, 3 teams. No, make it a 4 players just shut down, wiped out in the hands of Turkey.
I like the idea of Team Iran to try and make use of the grab on top of Lisichka to dive onto Mieko instead, but it took them way too long and too many resources to do so, which scattered their forces. Only with Kana coming in all the way from the other side of the map were they finally able to take down this Harif, and by then it was a 1-for-4 trade.
Coming on for a fight again. Tectonic charge comes through. Monster Shock try to pull into Nora's side. Zendaya will be taken out by Kana first of all. Enough damage, but now they're chasing for Nora as well. They want to make sure they can be able to do so. Zaman Force be put out by Mieko, but it will not stop any movement coming from Iran.
All right, there we go. That's what Team Iran is looking for. Those off-tempo plays. Turkey was not expecting a fight there, but the AOG right but Viper got an excellent choke point. We can see that Kana is actually being quite annoying here on this Benedetta, now unstoppable.
Unstoppable indeed. All the slash comes through. Kujo shuts down immediately. Great win comes through with Jungler been wiped out by Team Iran. Now this turtle is going to be a free kill for the side of Iran.
They'll be able to scare it easily. Now Unohana might get punished a little bit. Actually gets stunned in. This glue gonna jump back in actually.
Grab straight away to Neil, but is it going to be a condition that is going to be good? RWM been put out by Zendaya. At the same time, Neil just grabbing it through and through. But at the same time, it's going to give an opportunity for Rico to just shut her down immediately.
We're seeing a lot of action right now. It didn't happen on screen, but Mieko actually won a 1v1 against Kana as well. Picked the Benedetta off before the fight even started. So we can see that Mieko doing good on this Hari.
Hot guard immediately putting out to Sherry, making sure that nobody actually gets away easily. But again, they were trying to invade into the side of Team Iran. A lot of back and forth comes through from these two teams.
And now Team Turkey, they're aware that Mieko is going to be their win condition. This Harif doing a very good job so far. And it does come down to that gold lane duel and whether or not Kana is able to find the angles when it comes down to the team fights. We're at the 8-minute, nearly 9-minute mark. Gold lead still just a little under 3K in favor of Turkey, which is definitely a deficit that you can make up on. The Team Iran will need to make that happen sooner than later.
The fact that they're just trying to figure out which way can they actually pull through. A little bit of bullying can be done a little so that they can actually have that turn things around for the side of Team Iran. Turkey, so far, they had a really good control from the start, but now Iran is finding answers from one another. Putting out the Urchin Rampage, Listica could not move, could not find a way, had to use the AOG just to run.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly fine to do that there. Better to keep yourself alive, especially since the Lord is going to be up in another 15 seconds or so. Turkey does have the slightly better late game scaling overall, and that's basically why I said Iran needed to be the ones making use of the mid-game power spike. Since if they're not in the lead, the later the game goes, the harder it's going to be for them to keep up. So with Kana around, there is always going to be a win condition as long as this Benedetta is able to find the cat onto the Hari.
Already moving into the Lord Dance right here by Team Turkey. Iran, unfortunately, was a little bit too late, but they're moving on right here to the side of Neil. Neil had to pull away straight away before they became casualty, but Kujo does not allow it. Hardguard had to be put out to Neil to survive it out, but at the same time, Kana making a great decision, but Earthen Rapid be put out. They deny it. RWM put it out as well so that they cannot move away. AWG trying to put it out. Can they actually survive? They make it sure that they will be able to survive. Nora will be taken out by Kana immediately, but at the same time, they fight for Mieko by Sherry itself, and now leaving only Unohana to fend for herself. 3 players in the hands of Iran.
A total reversal from Team Iran, and now Unohana, the only one left, trying to buy as much time as possible, and honestly doing a great job of it. But Heart Guard will be used to get the Angela away. Turkey made a mistake. They stayed for too long. They underestimated the healing coming out of this Angela. But Unohana will finally fall as the Lord shoves down the bot lane.
Good job coming in from Iran. Great zoning from Una to survive it out. 4 players just try to ram her to make sure that she will be not taken down that quite easily. But at the same time, Iran still have it in their bag because the fact is they were able to turn things around for themselves. Now Turkey, even though they got the lot, now they still need to make sure that push comes through so that they can make sure that Iran loses a lot of the defense. Here on out, Klishika will be able to move away very quickly. No casualty.
I feel like at this point, multiple members of Iran have to have Oracle because that healing is actually adding up to a lot more than you would ordinarily expect. And Team Turkey is actually running into some issues where even though they have really good scaling damage, the consistency of it is not enough to actually whittle down their opponents. And so, the later the game goes, the more my initial predictions may actually fall incorrectly. No oracles at all, simply the flask alone from Nirvana actually keeping Team Iran topped up.
Very, very risky from the side of Iran, but then again, Kujo Little bit of overextension. Kana comes in for the diving as well as with the help of that hard guard. But here on out, because of their invasiveness, they might actually fall down. And right now, Nirvana just trying to secure to survive it out. Will not be allowed at all, giving Turkey that 2 kills for themselves.
That was definitely a bit too greedy there. Kana saw what could have been an easy kill on Kujo, but neglected to think about where the rest of Team Turkey would be on the map. Lisichka was not really having a vision on anyone, so they will at least trade her life for the bottom tier 2.
And even then, we do see that a little bit of steal comes in from the side of Team Iran. They will try to make sure they have the objective, the minor objective that they needed so that they can control the movement of the minions. And this is what we want to see, the diversion that they want to have, as well as the macro, as well as the micro skills we needed into the hands of Team Iran. So far, they have been backing off from the side of Team Turkey, even though they lost a couple of lives. A lot is coming in right here, and there's trying to set things up with Lishika, try to make it through, making sure that he can spot out any movement or even any ambush that will be put out by Team Turkey.
I think setting up for this, Team Turkey have to play a little bit more disciplined. They're well aware of how tanky hard guard makes Team Iran at this point. It might be good to try and play a slower fight, wait until the duration runs out.
Yeah, with AOD going right to the mid, as well as Miyako going all out to push out to Lishika. Can they make it through it? They go with a tectonic charge, gets 2 players, but at the same time, Lishika will be the one, the victim, to be fall down. But at the same time, they push it to Kana! Will be shut down by Kujo, and now Neil trying to survive it out, but unfortunately, Inferno Pursuit just to be able to survive will not be able to do so as Kujo shuts down Neil with 3 pieces in the hands of Turkey.
That was excellently played right there from Team Turkey, specifically targeting Sherry first to force the heart guard out onto the Yisun Shin, but that's not actually the target it gets the maximum value from. You want the Angela on the Benedetta or even the Phobius in this case, since they will be able to keep sustaining and walking in the front line. Since Sherry had to play it safe and stand behind, it meant that Team Turkey basically didn't have to contend with a hard guard at all throughout that entire battle, and then were able to slowly dismantle Team Iran one by one. I gotta give a shout out especially to Zendaya, popping that RWM perfectly at the edge of the dash from Kana, locking her in place just long enough for Kujo's burst to come true.
Yeah, exactly. The momentum, how they control, how Kana comes in. They want to make sure that they know the positioning of what Iran's about to do. And now, pushing on straight to the bottom turret that has been already dropped down. Looking for the top as well. RWM being picked out. Moving on with the tectonic charge. Putting on a rampage as well. They're pushing in to survive, but hard got put out by Lishika. Can they survive that? Kana comes in with the slash, but then it's not going to be enough damage. Now they will be punishing to the side of Team Iran as they lost Neil. And moving on with the Zaman force by Miyako. Miyako, overextension can be expected to be side of Nirvana, shutting him down. But at the same time, right here, Team Turkey, they know that lot of damage already been done as they already stolen Neil as well as Kana.
So far, we're seeing good discipline from Team Turkey. They're basically doing what I said they needed to, wait until the heart guard runs out to recommit onto the team fight. It's just unfortunate that Miyako walked a little bit too far forward and got punished for it. Otherwise, this is a guaranteed game win. But for now, Iran should be able to hold on to the base. They will have to deal with having no inhibitors left though.
Back off, or discipline-wise, the respect that is needed to be given. They cannot take any risk. Waiting off for Miyako as they know that pretty much all of the damage they are going to focus more by Miyako herself. And this is what Team Turkey is doing. Having that much time can actually set up a really good team fight against Team Iran. But the question is, Team Iran, with a little breather that has been given by Turkey, can they actually put out a really good defense for their own base?
I think their defensive capabilities are not too bad, especially since Kana's Electo final blow should be able to get wave clear in quite efficiently. But we know that the later the game goes, the more the scaling is going to kick in for Team Turkey. Even though the goal lead is not all that big as of right now, a lot of heroes on the side of Team Iran are going to start falling off in overall utility. Especially this Phobius is no longer as tanky as he needs to be.
Ooh, a little bit too late with that electro go, but at the same time, right here, it might actually come to bite it off. Kujo comes in with the tectonic charge by the side, takes down Nirvana immediately. Kana all by herself will be shut down, and this is going to open even more doors for Turkey.
That was beautifully done by Kujo, baiting out the Electro final blow and the Petrify. Even the hard guard committed meant that two members of Iran were now completely out of position for basically nothing.
Someone forced would put out Sherry and they lose, but at the same time managed to back off. But at the same time, right here, Tektonisha has come through with the Lichika, trying to survive it out, pushing on straight away. AOG had to be pulled out for the survival, but Neil all alone to defend for the frosting side. Will be shut down by Kujo. No, Lichika trying to defend for the crystal. Can they do so with the Sherry as well on the side? Let the weapon be put out, trying to do some damage right here, making sure that they will still survive it out. And Turkey somehow, Mountain put out. Is it going to be enough damage? Nope, not at all. Turkey backs off as quickly as possible.
But Mieko keeps making this mistake of diving way too far forward. Again, that was a guaranteed base push if Team Turkey had their gold laner. But for some reason, the Haru just decided to Zaman Force all the way into the other side of the base, where the rest of her team was not close enough to be able to support her. Because of that, Turkey has to back off. They have to go for the Lord instead. And that gives Iran time to regroup. They still have to contend with the waves pushing into the base, but they do have an Angela to be able to handle that at least.
With Angela still holding on their positioning, they know for a fact that they just have to play with time, but it comes in with the Tectonic charge. AOG comes through, but unfortunately losing a lot of lifeline. Lishika had to back away. Haga comes in with the Electro Blast, comes through. Can they actually manage to do damage? No, they added a struggle. They had to pull away with the RW. Silko takes down Sherry immediately now, leaving one more player to be taken out by Kujo himself with Neil. Now they're pushing it straight away to Lishika as well as Nirvana. Kujo just looking from the sideline. They know for a fact that they can just take down immediately. Enter Rapid to shut down Lishika immediately. This is a crystal for Turkey to get the first win.
And a triple kill from Kujo on the Suyo jungle claims the victory in game number 1 for Team Turkey. While there were certainly some mistakes made, overall the game was clean, the calls were solid, and they knew exactly what they wanted to achieve with this lineup.
I think pretty much we saw a little bit of overextension coming in from Turkey, but it doesn't really matter because they already know they had a really good setup to go in. That tectonic charge, getting a lot of the players of Iran out of place. Why that we are seeing that Team Iran started out really good from the get-go, but then they kind of lost their tempo. They didn't know how to control the movement of Team Turkey at the end of it all.
I already mentioned that this draft from Team Iran is a little bit more high execution overall, because not only are you playing a double fighter side lane, which is more of a cheese strategy that requires you to have a lead or end the game early ideally, you're also trying to put in a Benedetta gold lane. This could work in favor against the Harry, but after that you gotta make sure that you land your abilities correctly. And while Kana was a threat for most of the early to mid stages, I think Team Turkey started figuring out, hey, this Benedetta is going to be trying to split push a lot of the time. We can bait out abilities. If we can get the hard guard in as well, we can basically get 2 free kills on the map.
Agree, because 2 times that we are seeing that the final blow was not able to land properly. It was kind of a waste of usage of the resources itself that was done by Kana. It ended up in the favor of Team Turkey. But looking on 18 minutes 40 seconds of the playtime, started out with Iran was able to control the movement, but now Team Turkey, they found the answers by the mid game, and it showed so much of the hard guard that was given by the side of Sherry, and even the side that we know that Nirvana was just trying to make sure that at least the front line will still survive, but it doesn't do much of the damage that was needed to take down Turkey.
Yeah, Nirvana honestly did a very good job, even though she wouldn't have had very good mid lane priority initially on an Angela, keeping the team alive and just Jeff balling their way through Turkey in the earlier stages. But once the itemization really started blocking in, once Mieko got full build, once Kujo got full build, you could really see that damage adding up. And here I think is a great show of why Suyo could still be solid in the right situations.
And the fact that we have our Kujo as the key player right here as the goal hunter with 811 GPM. The goat is going to be Zendaya. I mean, with that RWM right on time, right on the spot. Even from that, I think it was the first Lord dance itself where she was able to caught Kana off guard and couldn't actually able to allow Iran to back off quickly, and that's where you find a way to conquer the movement of Iran. And this is where Turkey just comes off at the top a bit better. Lishika on the other note, as the tanker with 257,000. She did her best. I do feel like there was a couple of times that the AOG that she put out did manage to caught up a couple of players of Turkey, but it didn't have that follow-up that was needed from the side of Iran.
Yeah, I like the aggressive initiation that
Yeah.
they were using this AOG with, but there was a lot of backline being threatened, and Iran also needs to be diving against Team Turkey, which means that their composition, their lineup, their positioning is naturally a little bit chaotic and requires you to adjust on the fly. And honestly, I think they did a pretty okay job of that. I'm especially impressed by Kana's performance on the gold lane Benedetta. Not an easy hero to play, but they still falter in the face of our match MVP Uno Hana on the glue this time.
Blue with 3-1-14 KDA. I think pretty much we saw a lot of the game changer whereby how Uno Hana was just grab, moving into the hands of Iran so that they, no matter how much that they were able to actually pull all the stunts out to shut down Uno Hana, that zoning all by herself was just showing how much the resources that is needed to be done by Iran to shut her down.
Yeah, they tried, but this glue is still very, very annoying. And this is why I was once again worried by the Fovea showing up as the fourth pick, because that's exactly what happened earlier in the day. Glue is such a good solution to this, and it is a counter to the Angela as well, because the grab can get a 2-for-1 deal if you land on the right target. Without the burst damage that a marksman would ordinarily offer, it was very difficult to actually remove Uno Hana from the board. You could actually see it from that one play where Uno Hana survived 1v5 for an extended period even after the rest of her team was taken out.
I mean, this is pretty much how we have to actually go back to the square part, right? Because the fact is, we need to figure out whether or not that decision making of picking out that Benedetta, even though, yeah, we do see from the execution, it was good from the start. But it was still, at the same time, they were playing off into the hands of Team Turkey to a point that they keep on losing the grounds for them to survive all of those team fights.
I think what happened here specifically is that Team Iran tried to play a little bit too hard, too fast. And they know that they need to play heavy dive, try and get bursts out as soon as possible because they lose out overall in consistent DPS. But by doing so, you sometimes see the Electro Final Low being used too early. You see the Heart Guard being used when the fight starts on the wrong target, just to try and save someone instead of being maximized on a fighter instead. So those small, minute calls can make a big difference, because it's not as if Team Turkey was playing perfectly either.
I feel like the best way that we can say is that every single setup that was done by Turkey was just perfect. To be honest, you had that Urta Rampage. You deny any mobility of Iran to actually back away. Even if you actually try to survive with the hard guard, it's not going to be enough, because now you put that Urta Rampage and then you go for the tectonic charge that was done by Team Turkey. And you put RWM to even give more slowness effect to the side of Team Iran. What can you do? You can't even get out of that trap that was already been put up perfectly by Turkey.
That's why sometimes it's just good to fall back to the basics, right? You get yourself a really solid team fight composition, specialized in 5v5ing, and then you just naturally play the game the way it's intended to be. Double fighter side lane is a strong meta strat right now, but you gotta make sure that you're winning out those lane priors. You gotta make sure that you're leading early, that you know how to execute and maximize this kind of strategy, because otherwise the cheese just does not work.
And the fact that we talked about how this is actually a lifeline at stake, because Team Iran as well as Turkey, they had a long journey, but only one team can move up to this upper bracket or lower bracket on the next stage, which will be meeting Cambodia right after this. So the question is, can Turkey maintain their positioning as they've already been participating from last year compared to Iran, who just debuted for 2025?
Honestly, despite just debuting, I'm seeing some really solid foundations right here. While that Benedetta could have been a little bit cleaner,
Yeah.
the fact that it was brought out and the fact that it did cause Team Turkey a bit of trouble in the earlier stages is already very, very impressive. And I actually got a direct DM from one of the viewers where they
Wow.
said, okay, Vendetta Gold is not new. It was actually used during the MPL Indonesia playoffs. So there is a
Wow.
precedent for this. This is actually a pickup that is used against Harif sometimes.
I see. Interesting. If it actually comes to a point that we've seen already in the past, that could actually be a really good counter. But again, when it comes to execution, this is the problem. If you cannot actually land the shot properly, it has a problem to actually try on Harif. We talked about how Harif, ability-wise, especially with that Zahafon, you saw how many times he came to land the Zahafon, it really locked on any movement of the Iran, so that they could out of
honestly are pretty solid on paper, so keep that up going forward and just adjust in terms of execution.
Yeah, I think we can see that the fact that the teams right now, they are at stake. We are playing best of 3. This is where the fine line that if they messed up again for this second map, which is going to be the dangerous grass. And we talked about how dangerous grass is one of the maps that has the biggest impact in Mlbb. You can play around to go for a passive hero that can survive in the grass, or even can play around with an ambush hero that has an ultimate that can survive it out, or probably even give so much damage and give a surprise factor to the team. So the question is, players from the side of Turkey, they had a lot of consideration during the first draft, whereby they banned off a lot of jungle heroes. And not only that, assassin heroes are also one of the priorities they've been banned off, which is Lancelot, even though they actually had a good run when they fought off with Team Turkey. I think we did saw how Team Turkey was prioritizing Lancelot, fighting off at Dangerous Grass as well. So let's see if that's going to be the tail. But it seems that Iran kind of actually noticed it already from the yesterday's fight. So they take off Lancelot immediately, because we saw the success that was done by Turkey using this Lancelot. So they want to make sure that that will be avoided. But at the same time, the Harif respect ban comes along by Team Iran. From the side of Turkey, they ban off Baxia.
Like, so far, everything does make sense here. Getting rid of Harif, of course, since this is still probably one of the best typical gold laners in the meta right now, and it was played pretty well, very aggressively in the previous game. You just want to take that off the board, because basically every other gold laner in the meta right now is easier to handle. Then we see the CC also being taken out by Team Turkey here.
I think we already saw it. Even previously, they actually kind of prioritized to bat off Chi-Chi. It's not really to be messed around. If you kind of open that opportunity to be picked up, you will have a really tough time at the EXP lane if you want to put CC. But again, CC is actually a really good flex hero, so there's a possibility they want to make sure that it doesn't come through in the end.
So they're still sticking over to that. Now, previously, we did see Team Turkey ban out the X-Borg, and that seemed to specifically be setting up for a tank jungler, which may have been a bait at the very end. Now that they are on the red side, it's probably a little more difficult to try and go for draft strategies like that. Arlit going to be the final ban on the side of Team Iran.
Arlit. We talked about how Arlit could actually be a good choice to be made for the first draft, right? Because if, for example, like they don't have much of a choice for the EXP, because a lot of it has already been taken out. Alice, Yuzong, Arlit is still a viable choice to be, even though it's not really the best option, but it can be picked out. But Iran, on the other note, feeling like Arlit being taken out. What are your thoughts on this, Tafa?
Still thinking a little bit about it, because the Arlit was actually better for Team Turkey's lineup. That's why Team Iran went for the full VS to try and directly counter it, but then kind of forgetting about the glue. Hayabusa now going to be banned out, so heavy focus towards the jungle aspect during this particular matchup. That does mean, though, Esmeralda is let through the draft and is going to be picked up straight away.
I like the idea, because we did saw that how Esmeralda was banned off quite a couple of times here for the MLB women category, and I feel like one of the heroes that is also prioritized, whether it's Kacha or Broad, Esmeralda is actually a really good viable choice. But at the same time, Turkey say like, hey, since Grok is open, might as well we take it out, as well as Eve. Again, these are the two heroes that was really doing a lot of the key plays, whereby they take a really good setup with that tectonic charge, even with the ultimatums of making sure that there's not much of a mobility here by Team Iran.
These two are basically the backbone of Turkey's previous lineup, and in my opinion, one of the best duo team fights in the game right now. It's just so much AoE, so much control. Eve is actually countered by Esmeralda on paper, but it is still something you can manage. So the Xborg is going to be locked in by Iran. That means that Team Turkey can't really afford to go into hyper tanky lineups. They ideally need good burst damage, especially in their gold laner. Yisan Shin also going to be picked up by Team Iran.
Interesting. I think pretty much we are saying that Iran, we did saw how a great job coming in from Iran, right? Using that Yusanshin with a mountain shocker. A little bit of overextension that was not really necessary from their side, but they know for a fact that it was a really good move coming from them. But on the side of Turkey, one more heroes prioritized. They taking off Granger immediately.
Going for the Granger, we already knew that there was a pretty good chance that Team Turkey is going for a more classic lineup here, since the Xborg basically denies double fighter's side lane. So they will lock in the Granger now that Har has been taken out. And now the other side, Team Iran, not going to be too worried about this because they've already revealed both Esme and Xborg. So these are going to be their side laners for sure. And they're using this Xborg as a way to pre-counter the glue. You can no longer go into heroes like that because Xborg naturally does very well against them.
I mean, with the last Insanity, just to give a lot of the explosion and as well as damage, breaking off every single rotation or even trying to go for the setup, right? This is where Iran can disturb every single positioning of Turkey. And now they're trying to make sure that at least a lot of the potential of their assassins jungler will be taken out as well, whereas they took out Suyo from the pool.
Yeah, taking out Suyo, you already know that it's not ideal for Team Turkey to go into Fredrin, so Team Iran probably doesn't need to ban Fredrin, so we're looking at other assassins that they might need to be worried about. Meta-wise, Joy is still somewhat popular. I personally am not a big fan, and we didn't see it picked up earlier in favor of Suyo either. We've already talked a little bit about Nolan in the past. I'm not sure if we're going to see Nolan here yet. Akai is also probably a little less ideal when you're up against the Xborg. So I'm actually wondering if Team Turkey can play Fanny.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I kind of agree on that because we barely see, no, not barely, we haven't seen Joy at all from day number one. It's not really the priority pick for the side of jungler itself. So this is where the fine line is. Are they going to actually come out with Fanny? Even though with the nerf comes with the steel cable, it still be a good option here. But Glue giving a respect ban right here, even though, yeah, you have that Xbox in their hands, I feel like Iran just trying to shut down even more the signature heroes of Turkey.
I think Turkey can go into their EXP laner here first and keep their jungler for the very last, since there's no way of it being contested anymore. If you want to keep it safe, Lapu Lapu is probably the best bet at this point. You can still go into Yuzong, but it has a slightly tougher time into Xborg, so Lapu is probably the safest.
Lapu Lapu having a really good composition as well as going to the back line, but at the same time, finally making an appearance right here.
All right.
Our Mlbb woman category is going to be Joy to be picked by Turkey.
Joy is still okay. If you're able to maximize her towards the mid phase, can actually do quite a lot. I'm just worried about the heavy cooldown base of it. But we already know that both side laners have been revealed on Team Iran. So the only major role that can actually CC Joy at this point is going to be the roamer. They're going to need something that has very solid lockdown. If you're wanting to draft something that works with the Eve as well, it might be good to go for Kaja here, since the suppress will actually be able to deny the real-world manipulation.
Oh, that's kind of true though. Yeah, definitely one of the viable choice coming up for Team Iran. But at the same time, we are seeing that Team Iran had a really good fighter lane for the goal, but now they're pushing in with Farsa to be picked as well as the side of Team Iran, I feel like...
Carmilla?
Yeah, Carmilla, is it okay?
That's very interesting. Carmilla has natural synergy with Xborg, because this is a hero that slows down the enemy team quite a lot and ties them together so that the more AoE damage you do, the more damage you just do in total. Which means that Iran is trying to go for a slower team fight set around the Curse of Blood into the Flamethrower, and then you can actually go for some burst pickoff with the Farsa as well. Unfortunately, it means that you have no direct lockdown.
Yeah.
There's no hero that can reliably catch the Joy, and it is up to whether or not Kujo makes a mistake in movement. This means that the Yuzong can actually now come out, since that is one of the best heroes for diving and canceling Feathered Airstrike.
This is tough. I still think that pretty much on the draft-wise, Turkey looks a little bit more sturdy compared to Iran. I know for a fact that Iran is trying to find a little bit of unorthodox way to fight against Turkey, but I feel like it's not going to be enough though.
It could be a surprise pick, because Carmilla's Curse of Blood actually genuinely makes you take a lot of damage if it hits like the entire team, and then you have good AoE like Feathered Airstrike, like the fire missiles. But it's a very heavy condition, and once again, no solid lockdown for heroes like the Joy. Your backline dive is also a bit lacking. You're very front to back. Even though you're playing double fighter side lane, you'd usually want at least one hero that can threaten Granger more easily. And the only way they can do that is maybe through Feathered Airstrike. So it's, once again, a draft that has a bit of an execution ceiling.
I feel like at the same time, when it comes to the setup, right, Stava, you gotta agree on me in this, because the fact is, right now, a lot of the sites that Iran is actually prioritizing more, they want to actually have a lot of mobility. But is that mobility going to be enough though? Because like we talked about, this is the last chance for both of this team. If they don't make it right here, we have to say goodbye to them. And one of them will move into the lower bracket final, meeting off with Cambodia. Welcome to WEC. This is Turkey versus Iran.
You can already see Nirvana getting poked out quite hard, but that means that Daya has to flicker away from the Yisun Shin. Nice early gank coming in from Sherry.
And the fact that right now pushing on Ilishika, a little bit too close call to be taken out, but managed to move away as quickly as possible. Will be able to survive it out. So much extension has already been done, but Neil is passing through this 1v1 with Unohana will have no problem.
Team Iran is going to once again have a bit of a difficult time getting mid lane prio, but at least this time around, their side lanes are a lot stronger. Oh, Nora actually gets the full reset on the orange buff, so that's going to slow down Sherry a bit. Even needs to pull over Kana just to make sure that this Grok isn't causing too much chaos.
Even Nora right now doing a lot of invasive move to point out it kind of actually controls the movement of Team Iran. Turkey knows what it needs to be done right here and showing a lot of movement, a lot of control. But at the same time, Ilishika will be stunning Zendaya just for the sake of trying to move around.
First turtle is going to be up very, very soon. Unlike the previous game, we're not seeing very heavy emphasis towards the EXP lane here on either team. So there's not going to be a side that has an obvious advantage over the first turtle pit.
Kujo coming along to the mid side, going all out straight away with electrifying beats, takes down Sherry immediately by Zendaya. Great move comes along with Turkey just pushing out at the mid lane.
The reactionary movement from Team Iran still needs a little bit of work in terms of its speed, because they did try to go for a mid lane gank onto Zendaya. Not a bad idea, but failed to mention that Kujo was dashing in from the top side. So that's the first turtle over to Turkey.
First turtle, great job securing it, especially the fact that they were able to control the movement of Iran itself for that scrimmage. And now moving along, it seems that they will be able to invade even more territory of Iran.
Right now, we're already looking at the obvious flaws of Team Iran's lineup. No lockdown that can punish Kujo for dashing too far forward. And even though their side lanes are able to get priority, that is only in a direct laning state. They don't really offer a lot of utility when it comes out to straight up team fights. And that allows Turkey to play very aggressively.
Now just pushing on right here at the bottom lane. Mountain Shocker just to clear things out. Not gonna do so much, but it seems that Turkey overlooking to the side of Team Iran, finding a way to go in. Kujo comes through to Sherry's side, but that's not going to be a little bit of extension, but they still goes to Polisica instead. again, this is just a back and forth between the two teams.
Really nice rotations here. Team Turkey is aware of their advantage on the map right now, especially around the mid lane, and they're using it to deprive Sherry of as much farm as possible, since this is basically the only scaling damage on Team Iran's side. And now the snowball is already starting to build up.
A lot of things to be catching up right here for Team Iran. Turkey, every movement they make is very calculated to a point that Iran is just being put stop immediately. Lishika will be able to actually just move away. It seems that Kujo is running freely, getting the buff from the territory side as well as not being stopped at all. But here comes over the technology charge. Rico takes down Sherry, but their side has been opened. Mieko in danger zone will be shut down by the one and only Nirvana.
Mieko is a scary gold laner, actually. The fact that she's flickering aggressively in that position, she knows I'm not getting out of here alive, so I'm gonna try and take someone with me. That is the mindset of a particular type of gold lane player. Team Turkey, even with the loss of their Granger, not gonna shy away from taking another turtle.
Not a problem for them, as they know this is just pretty much a place for them to just take a lot of the objective for themselves. And Team Iran, on the other note, it's a little bit of a win for them to just get at least Mieko, but at the same time, the movement has still been controlled by Turkey.
Even though they did lose Mieko, picking off Sherry was much more valuable for Turkey there, because that denies Iran any chance of contesting the turtle and allowing Turkey to get even more farm at this point. The longer the game goes, the worse it's going to be for them.
Look at this, Kujo just coming in for the diving position, but Mountain Shotgun does not help it at the same time. Kujo, unfortunately, will be traded off by Nirvana.
Yeah, that maybe was a little bit unnecessarily aggressive, but I can respect it. And it looks like they'll go for the gank on Kana as well, punishing the Xborg for remaining in lane even after they dive the tier 2.
A lot of diving composition from the side of Turkey. Risky move, but yet it is a great zoning coming from them. And the fact that right here, Unohana putting a lot of pressure on her own lane, showing how they can't even move away.
Once again, the rotations from Turkey this game are very clean. They know how many people they need to rotate in order to get an objective, in order to get a kill. And they know how they need to play to make it successful. Unfortunately, once again, the draft of Iran not really helping them.
Comes in with the rapid fire. Their side's open a bit too late. Unfortunately, Ilishika will be the victim of that cause.
This Carmilla not really working out so far. It works the best when you're in a direct 5v5, but Team Turkey is specifically avoiding positioning themselves for that. They're actually taking very separated ganks around the map with 2 or 3 split-man cells. And that is denying Team Iran any chance of getting the fight they want.
A lot of the setup has been done by Turkey, denying the movement of Team Iran. And here on out, let's see if Team Iran can actually answer properly. A lot of the feather set has been opened, comes in with a fallen star, but at the same time, right here, doing their best to just flick around. Neil having a little bit of difficulty, had to move away, but now comes along with Unohana just crushing in as a dragon. Will be able to take them a little bit, but comes along with a mighty three. Feather that will be cancelled immediately. Mirko takes down Nirvana, comes through with Neil just shutting down immediately to make sure that they will survive. But Unohana, a lot of an overextension. Last Insanity doesn't get anyone. Instead, will be able to give Kujo the turtle in the hands.
Unohana definitely stayed a little longer than necessary, but that was an excellent play. The Furious dive into the bush with the Petrify, knowing that people are going to be hiding in there. Very worthy trade since they're able to get another turtle on top of it. And now Neil will go down with Nora tanking the tower for Mieko. Mega kill streak on this Granger.
The right side open. Nora will have no casualty, will be able to back away easily. But this ganking that was done by Turkey, success after success. And even so, Team Iran, they have been able to control just a little bit, but still not going to be enough.
Iran needs to buy a little bit more time, and they need to start funneling gold into Sherry and Nirvana, but they're not really given the space on the map to do so. If they try to split push, Kujo pops out of nowhere. If they try to stay together, then they're not farming as efficiently, and the map control is not allowing them to walk up safely either.
But Kujo been caught off guard all by herself. Can she actually manage to survive? She managed to survive, but comes along Unohana just saying to back off from my jungler.
Yeah, I think that it was good of Iran to try and punish Kujo for walking into that bush without vision, but it might have been better if they tried to bait out the dashes from the Joy beforehand. I'm not too sure if they have what it takes to do so, though. There's not a lot of resources they can make use of.
Comes in along with electrifying bees. At the moment, Federer has been open. Is it going to be enough damage? Neil will be taken out by Mieko. First of all, Kana had to back away. All the fires, all the burning grounds will not be enough as Neil will be immediately shut down.
All things considered, only losing the Esmeralda there is actually not too bad for Iran, but the longer the game goes, the more we can see that they are in a terribly uncomfortable position. We're at the 9-minute mark. Goal lead is 7K for Turkey, one of the bigger snowballs that we've seen so far in WEC 2025, and they are not letting up on the pressure.
I mean, if you were them right now, right, Safa, like, what are the things that needs to be prioritized for Team Iran? Because the fact is, they haven't found a backdoor to make sure they can actually open an opportunity to just shut down Team Turkey. So, in your position right now, what can you do?
The ideal is to try and bait Turkey into a full 5-man fight into the base. Like you basically need Turkey to make a really aggressive call, almost unnecessarily so that you can set up the Curse of Blood into the flamethrower. But so far, Turkey has been clean.
They are being clean, especially the fact that Turkey, a lot of time, Ertan Rapid being put out, that wall just guards out every mobility that is done by Team Iran. They're denying the movement, and that's what makes Turkey just rise to the top. And even more so, giving a lot of the turrets in their hands.
Slowly but surely, the vice grip is closing. Once again, as a reminder to the stakes here, ladies and gentlemen, this is the lower brackets. And Turkey is already one game up. If they're able to claim victory here, that means that Iran's journey at WEC is about to end. And while it is an impressive performance so far, any team would want to stay longer.
Ooh, Rampage! As well, the tectonic charge comes through, but pulls back again. Further side, try to pull away. But RWM is going to put on things on Kana. Michigan will be shut down by Mieko with Zendaya. Will be able to trade off with Neil, but unfortunately, this is going to be the only one left. Sherry as the defending of Team Iran. They break the turret for the bottom, and now they're pushing in for the mid as well. Sherry, there's no way out from here as the Lord is marching in. Team Turkey knows for a fact this crystal is for them to win. Comes along Unohana to say, Sherry, back off. This crystal is for us to take. No one is going to take away from the hands of Turkey.
Team Turkey successfully clean sweeps their opponent. They will eliminate Team Iran from contention in a very, very clean performance, where it almost seemed like it wasn't even a contest. Clean gameplay, solid drafts, and perfect execution. You can tell that they are prepared for the next level of the tournament.
Again, we have to give a lot of credits to all the setup that was done by Turkey. With the fact that that tectonic charge came just right on time, as well as how the RWM just give a lot of the movement for the team of Iran, could not get out of the setup that was done by Turkey.
It was basically putting Team Iran through a blender, basically.
Yeah.
This big stun into the electrifying beats and the Death Sonata sniping from afar. They melted so quickly. And with the lead that Team Turkey had already built up, it basically became impossible to make any hope of a reversal happen. So while it is unfortunately the end of the journey, we gotta give props over to Team Iran, one of their first appearances here, and already putting up and showing us their potential.
Oh, agree, definitely. As a debut itself, for you to just not just survive for the group stage, you were able to actually come back from the play-ins and now going into the lower brackets. It shows how much potential they have. But again, this is a props to the side of Turkey, because they are the one who will be moving on to the lower bracket upper, leading off with Cambodia. And now we're gonna have a little bit of talk with our host, Rose. So let's hear it out after their win. What do they feel about it?
Sweep continues on the main stage of WEC 2025. And right now, Turkey after a 2-0 sweep. Congratulations, girls. How are you feeling after that win? I was to be back. Do you guys like Malaysia?
Yes, also like very much. I'm not like that. She's very like the food.
Oh, what food do you like?
Love it. Especially seafoods.
Oh, the seafood, probably like ikan bakar and all that kind of stuff. Now, let's talk a little bit about the game, because in game 1, Team Iran played Benedetta Gold Lane. Did that surprise you guys? Were you guys shocked a little bit?
Unana is a Benedetta main also. She have 1,000 matches in Benedetta. So we are not that so much surprised. We expected, yeah.
Oh, but it did seem like it gave you guys kind of a hard time in the gold lane. So how did you guys manage to beat the Benedetta? Is it because Unohana is a very good Benedetta player?
She is the best Benedetta player for us.
So she knows how to counter the hero since it came out. Now tomorrow, you guys will be heading on to the playoffs, playing another do or die match. So what is the preparation like for tomorrow's match?
We plan to best top 3.
Wow, best top 3 at least. So how are you guys going to prepare for that? Screams tonight?
Yes, we did screams a lot. I think 2 per day.
Oh, 2 a day, 2 screams a day. I have a question. Since you guys have been to Malaysia before as well, have you guys played Malaysian ranked games on ML? Is it good?
Yes, we did, and I think Malaysia's ranked games is more better than Turkey.
Oh, yes. I see. I think she hasn't met all the dark systems yet. But yeah, thank you so much to Team Turkey. Congratulations on the win. I will see you girls tomorrow. And with that, let us throw it back to the casters to break down what happened on this match.
Big props to saying that how Malaysia rank is really fun. I like that. I really feel happy to hear that from the Turkey representative. But again, we really want to congratulate to Turkey because still maintaining to be surviving here at WEC 2025. But this is going to be a goodbye to Team Iran. And we want to actually break down even more of what has happened for this round number 2 against these 2 teams. Because the fact is, I feel like what Unohana said just now makes sense because the fact that they kind of actually, yes, they are a little bit surprised when Benedetta comes off as the goal lane, but she was already well experienced using Benedetta in her own experience. So this is where the fine line, how if players are already experienced, have already been playing the same characters or playing heroes in their own rank or in their own gameplay, it shows how much they know how to counter it, right?
Yeah, definitely, right? When you have a mastery over a hero, you know its weaknesses, you know its strengths, and so when it's on the opposite side, you do have a slightly innate knowledge, like a subconscious feeling of, okay, this is how I need to play against it. Obviously, you still want to be able to practice, ideally, but having that understanding already is the first step towards making it work in the first place. We can see here the game stats. This was a very short game number 2, not even hitting the 11-minute mark, but it was a 14,000 gold difference at the very end there, with Kujo and Mieko both getting massive amounts of farm. And I'm gonna sound a little bit like a broken record at this point, but this was also a draft issue, unfortunately. The Carmilla, as well as the X-Borg being picked up, not having enough crowd control, the burst damage being easily cancelled on Nirvana. Team Iran didn't have the tools for success here.
Oh, I do agree on that because there was a lot of things that they need to actually patch up right here, as the fact that you don't have any of the, how do I say, catch factor, the pickup heroes that can be actually put out into the draft itself, even though you know for a fact it's not gonna be easy. But once Kujo comes along, or once Joy was been picked up right here for the draft itself, you have to have someone that you can actually crowd control the movement, because the mobility wise of Joy itself, it can be a little bit sleepy and tricky, but still, with the fact that we know Team Turkey, they keep on putting up a really good setup with the Grok as well as Zendaya having Geef in there.
And that's why I was saying maybe the Kaja would have been good instead at the very end. At least you have some way of catching the Joy. Yes, I really want some AoE since if you only catch one, then you might have to deal with the rest, but at least you can catch one. At least you can make your opponents a little bit more wary about just diving straight into your face. So that is a bit of an unfortunate case, but as a result, we see Mieko this time being the gold hunter and the GOAT, this Granger basically having free reign and free farm throughout the entirety of the game. Neil trying to do her best to tank for the rest of the squad, but without sufficient damage, Zendaya can come in as the best support and secure assists with that RWM once again.
I mean, again, we talked about how Unohana 1v1 with Neil, right? They won't have any issue whatsoever, but when it comes to the team fight, this is where the problem starts for Team Iran. Even though no matter how much you want to actually focus on the individual fights, team fights what makes things actually fruitful for Team Turkey. Once they actually be able to cover the grounds, especially the fact that every back line was trying to be secure. We saw how Kana tried to go from the backside, end up being tag off or being catched straight away because of the RWM that was put out by Unohana. But now we're moving on to our MVP for our match today, whereby Mieko giving a lot of damage with this Granger.
8-1 and 2 on the Granger, 866 GPM. We already can tell just from the game itself that Mieko was basically undisturbed throughout the entirety of it. There was that one death when she tried to aggressively flicker forward to take someone with her, but even that was on her own terms, right? So the control was there. Clearly, she had nearly max stack Skypiercer by the time the game ended, and that's just such a difficult thing to handle when you're up against a Granger, even managing to get that Sea Halberd in to help deal with the sustain heroes on the opposite side. So just a clean performance from Team Turkey.
Oh yeah, we gotta say actually this is one of the best, cleanest performance that we've seen from Turkey, especially the fact that we saw how it was when they were fighting off with Team Indonesia. It wasn't really a good, smooth ride for them, but this is like a really good build-up after that defeat for their own side. And coming along right now, it might actually even set up a really good standard moving to meet with the team of Cambodia.
And now that we are starting to enter the later stages of the competition, it just means that gameplay will just go up even higher. Unohana as well, once again, showing why she is an EXP laner to keep an eye on here, going for that side dive into the bush. Actually set up the kill onto Nirvana and denied most of the damage coming in. And then here, we can see the final attempt, the final play, the big blender action coming in from the electrifying beats. That's how you can tell the goal difference is just insurmountable.
And the fact that you talked about is how every single time Kana comes in with the last insanity, it's a little bit too earlier on. That kind of actually portrays how much that Team Iran waste a little bit of the resources too early on. If you actually come into a bait that Team Turkey has already served or probably already set up, this is where the fine line, they see all your skills already been used up, they will come back to punish you. And unfortunately, Iran is just on the lower end of the hand itself, but it's okay. You will be able to pull your